Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the bishops and the elders, great millstone that rule well through the scriptures. Peace to the 144,000 and the rest of the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Chaya from GMS Indianapolis, the branch of Indiana. The original Gary campus, GMS, who will not tarry too. And this is a response to the video on screen, El Dayash, the head of Indiana. His page, GMS Love to Edify. Title of the lesson, The Biggest Sellout in History, Eve. All right, a.k.a. the so-called black woman, Latino woman, Native American woman. They all of them are the nigga woman. All of them is Eve, all right? It's just the so-called black woman, Judah. She's at the forefront because that's the head tribe. So the Judite male and female is at the forefront of these things. But anyway, yeah, the elder mentioned me in particular in this video because from time to time, you talk about your upbringing or whatever. And I, as well as other brothers, grew up in the Esau system in regard to what he wanted to implement on our nation through the woman. Like when you read that Willie Lynch letter, and you basically just give you a synopsis of it. You basically get rid of the man and negotiate with the woman. Then the woman will directly and indirectly implement the plans of the so-called white man on the future generations, right? And what happens is the children get raised backwards. The woman see herself in her daughters, so she'll raise them to be independent, all right? And understand the inner workings and the networkings of the system. That's why a lot of so-called Negro women, they know the process for food stamps and Section 8 and SSI. They understand those processes and how to work them, all right? What to say, what not to do, the inner dealings of them, all right? Because through the so-called white man, they see salvation. But then what do? When it comes to their sons, fulfill their life, back to the Willie Lynch letter, they raise them to be docile, independent. They don't raise them to be independent. All right? Fulfill their life. That's if they love them. All right? It's all warped. Right? It's crazy when you really think about it, because let me grab the scripture real quick. The wicked Esau Edom, he's done a diligent search when it comes to destruction. All right. Psalm 64, and I start at the top. Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. See, a lot of these things was done in secret, in the dark. All right. In their councils, what do they do in their councils? They study how to further oppress the children of the Lord. All right. They couldn't just keep beating us down physically. Right. They couldn't just keep killing us. They did a psychological maneuver, because you got to think we're profitable. It's profitable to have us in subjection. Right? Because what did we come up with? What did we do when they had us in subjection? We helped forward the country. Innovations, right? So it was profitable for us to keep, free labor. We can go on and on and on. From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, right? Their philosophies, right? Their racism, the elders, they bringing this out a lot. Scientific racism, right? The scientific racism never left. Social Darwinism and, a lot of things that was associated during slavery, even through the quote unquote progress. Those doctrines and teachings never left. All right. You watch the debate between William Shockley and Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, right? Which she annihilated that dude, but the doctrine stayed. then the bell curve, right? That they may shoot in secret at the perfect. See, they throw their rock and hide their hand, and our people suffer from it, right? But the scripture says what? Let me grab this real quick. We'll go back to that. Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. All right. So our people were oppressed. You look at those, look at the news conference when they had the so-called black man, I think it's in black and white in the 60s. He was, they was basically giving Esau a piece of their mind. It was very passionate, right? And it was correct because, you know, he understood the oppression, right? It says, and a gift destroyed the heart. But what happened is they gave the so-called black woman little gifts, little goodies, right? So now she felt as though it was a way out, all right, without the so-called black man. There was salvation outside of him. And it goes back to the serpent and Eve. You know, there's another way outside of Adam, right? So back to Psalm 64, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They communicate of laying snares in private. Snares are traps. They say, who shall see them, right? So through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we woken up to the snares, to the traps, and we're prophesying about it. But you know, our people are waking up now, right? But your grandma ain't woke up. See, your mother ain't woke up. You might try to tell your mother a little something, she might act like she listening, but they see salvation through the so-called white man. That's why they won't stop taking his blood pressure medication, right? That's why they won't stop going to school. I'm serious. They will not stop going to school. School used to be like a young man's and a young woman's game. You got people up, especially in the so-called black community, 50, 60 years old, still trying to go to school because that's where they see salvation at. As the grips get tighter on life, right? They think the answer is more of Esau's philosophies, right? Let me grab this scripture real quick. And let me finish that. It says, they say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Yeah, it's deep because they'll plan something 20, 30, 40 years ahead of time, you know? But anyway, let me jump to Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that take counsel, but not of me. See? Advice, doctrine, what to do, how you should live, like the elder quoted in this video. All right. Who the main one that tell you to go to the army? The so-called black woman. All right. You either gonna go to the school, or you going to school or the army. Right. Now, let's say you go to school. They don't, the things that you should go to school for is frowned upon. No, you got to get a philosophy. You got to get a degree that sound good. Philosophy, a doctorate. No, your ass good with your hands. Go to school for being a mechanic. Right? Ain't a mechanic, a plumber, an electrician. Those are high-paying job skills where not only can you have a job, but you can start your own business. You can have a job doing a trade and then doing some on the side until you build it up. And now, and not too long, now you got a business. Now you self-sufficient. Now you can pass the skill down to your sons. Apprenticeship. See, but that's frowned upon, right? An old college president said He said, and this a college president, he said school is a waste of time. He said if you're not going for medicine, law, and engineering, it's a waste of time. And the reason why you got to go for law is because the laws keep changing. And medicine too, the medicine keep changing. Really, you should only go, engineering. But anyway, that's my opinion regarding that. But that's what he said. Everything else, total waste of time. And people seeing that it's a waste of time. Hell, the so-called black woman seeing it's a waste of time. Because out of all this schooling, and Kevin Samuels used to bring this out all the time, with all this schooling, the so-called black men still make more money than you with less schooling. Men in general make more money than women. And it ain't because of no type of toxic masculinity or a male chauvinist society. Women are incentivized much more than men. But for the most part, women like to do the jobs that they've been doing for the last 100 years. Service jobs. Whether it's social services, whether it's hotel concierge and clerk. And I'm not being misogynist. Misogyny mean hate, right? But anyway, I'm not being misogynist. I'm just being real. Anyway, it says, woe to the rebellious children, said Yahweh Shai, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, right? That you can be, you listen to the so-called white man's doctrine where you can be incentivized to do what you want to do. All this schooling, right? All this education, all this career, but you still want a traditional high-value man. But wait a minute. Why is that? Because you've been incentivized that you can have it all. The serpent lied and told you that you can have it all. Right? And that's your covering. Because a covering is supposed to be a way, a doctrine, a path. But you chose Esau Edom paths. That's why you see a lot of these so-called black women with the so-called white women. You see a lot of so-called black women with the so-called white men too. And that's why. It's an old Ari Spears joke. He was doing a comedy skit. He saw a black woman with a so-called white man walking in the aisle, and he said, "This nigga paid car notes and everything," right? So a lot of, so-called black women, they deal with the so-called white man because it's perception. All right. There's a lot of internalized self-hate. All right. Because if you hate the so-called black man, a lot of you. But how can you hate us if you came from us? If you hate us, that means you hate yourself. So you'll act a certain way with him, and then you'll date the so-called white man, and for fear of being labeled, this, right? This statue, this 12-foot bronze statue of a black woman, right? With her hands on her hip, right? Overweight, full of sass, with that Jada Pinkett wig from Set It Off, right? For fear of being labeled the stereotypical black woman, Verna Jean, you'll be docile and humble. You give him everything that the so-called black man asks for. Right? But now we coming to find out a lot of you so-called black women, y'all getting the white bums. You getting white pookie. The one internet couple, the so-called black and white internet couple, he living in his mama basement. So you won't struggle with the so-called black man, but you'll struggle with the so-called white man. But in today's society, how's that working out? It's not working out. It's not working out. It's not looking good at all. Right? Let me grab another scripture. Let me see. It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Yeah, America is Egypt. You trust in the American way. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. It says, right, so as this place go down, you're going to go down with it because you put your faith and trust in them. And if it don't apply, let it fly. Let it fly. And that's another problem, too. A lot of you sisters who, if this bill don't fit you, a lot of y'all ain't checking the ones who it do fit. See? Because somewhere in your mind, you probably want to be like those whores. You just don't got the courage to be one. Salakia. Because the scripture says, look, if somebody come upon you, if a wicked man, you come in contact with a wicked man, don't bid him Godspeed unless you a partaker of his evil deeds. So if it's 5 friends and 4 of y'all whores and another one not, and you ain't checking the one that the 4 that is, the fact that you keep in company with them, this says a lot about you. Either you would like to do what they're doing and you just scared, or you living vicariously through them. The scripture says, can 2 walk together unless they be agreed? And that's another problem. See, a lot of you so-called black, see, when we check you, it's hate. The scriptures say open rebuke is better than secret love. We don't want you to destroy. We don't want you to wear weave and get perms. The shit killing you. It's thousands of chemicals in there killing you, giving you cancer, wearing you the fuck out. But when we speak on that, it's hate. Oh, your mama black. Well, guess what? Our mothers was the first bad examples of women that we received. How many men mothers cheated on their father and their mother and they father accepted them back? How many men saw their mother giving their sister tips on how to be whores, on how to get what they want out of men? So don't go. Y'all can saying that shit. Your mama black, whatever. That was the first poor example of what a woman should be. For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor being help nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach. So Esau, Edom can't help you. When the shit hit the fan, a lot of these, you see a lot of these jobs closing. When the shit hit the fan, the only jobs that's gonna be around is the jobs that people need to survive. Not the extra amenities. A lot of this shit is extra. A lot of these different jobs, this shit is extra. All right. It was one more scripture I was gonna get, but I can't think of it now. But anyway, I believe the point was made. Lord will, this was an edifying lesson to those who elect. All praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash, Shalom.